We are back. We are back. To everybody out here in App Stupid Podcast land, we are back. We are still dropping content. We're going to move on to our next story. We just left the Mikey Williams situation, leaving Memphis for UFC. UCF. I said UFC. I got a picture of Michael Bubba fighting out of the red corner. No, he left for UCF. And best of luck to the young man. I hope he does really well. Moving on to the NFL. The Patriots hire Jerod Mayo as coach to replace Bill Belichick. And they didn't have to reach out to anybody else. Now, this story was covered in The Athletic by Mr. Chad Graff and Jeff Ho. The New England Patriots, they hired the next man to succeed Bill Belichick. The article reads, he's set to become the 15th head coach in franchise history. According to league sources briefed on the matter, they were not authorized to discuss this publicly. So a lot of people close to this story, they spoke off the record of anonymity to get down to the specifics. It wasn't even a day that went by and they had his replacement in place. So just think about that, because you would have to have a whole process set up to interview people, give people second interviews, talk to your board of directors, see who they like, what the football temperature is in the room. None of that. None of that happened. So I'm suspicious about that. And my suspicions were confirmed when I started to read on in the next paragraph, because Mayo, 37, he will become the NFL's youngest head coach. His ascension has been long planned. The team never reached out to a single other candidate. They didn't talk to Jim Harbaugh. They didn't talk to Mike Vrabel or even Ben Johnson. And this is going to go with per the sources around the league. Again, when you start to really find out about what's in the head office, a lot of these people, they'll talk off the record because they have to keep their jobs. But that's how you get the juicy scoops. Whatever happened to the Rooney Rule? And doesn't this violate that rule put in place by the NFL? The Patriots wrote into his contract. Now check this out. The Patriots wrote into Mayo's contract last January that he would succeed Bill Belichick as the next head coach. Because they did that, they communicated with the league and committed to give him the job. So Bill Belichick knew he was fired last year. Again, I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I can read 2 and 2 and put things together pretty fast. For this man to be hired not even a day after Bill Belichick is gone, he was already fired last year. He knew about it. So they did this contract already last January. Win, lose, or draw, Bill was gone regardless. And so when I brought up the Rooney Rule, I wanted to think, well, wait a minute. They violated this because they didn't even give anybody else. They didn't interview anybody. Now, per the sources in The Athletic, they didn't interview anybody else for this job. However, there is a workaround when it comes to the Rooney Rule. And we'll go through that when we come back from a quick 20-second break from another unofficial sponsor of the show. Yes. Burger King, have it your way. BK, have it your way. Try the Whopper or the Whopper Signature Series. Make sure you visit the good folks down at your local Burger King. Download the app or order online. BK, have it your way. All right. So back to this story. And there is a workaround when it comes to the Rooney Rule. See, in the NFL, as long as you communicate with the NFL ahead of time that you have a candidate available to go and take a coaching vacancy in the future, the Rooney Rule doesn't apply. And when we go back to the Patriots, Mayo was going to succeed Bill Belichick because they did that and they communicated with the league. They were not required to conduct a full coaching search following the Rooney Rule. So what good is a rule if nobody's going to follow it? They did this last year. And like I said, winning last year, that's the way they wrote this contract up. The Patriots, they reworked Mayo's contract last year to entice Mayo to turn down head coaching interviews elsewhere. They established this in writing that Mayo would be the successor to Bill Belichick. And as long as they kept communication back and forth with the NFL, they didn't have to follow the Rooney Rule. Again, there's loopholes around everything. And so why even have a Rooney Rule on the books if I got a workaround and I don't have to follow it and the rules don't pertain to me? A condition in the Rooney Rule, an anti-tampering policy, allows teams to bypass the typical interview process if they establish in writing a succession plan and communicate that with the league before the start of the season. Again, for Mayo to be announced the coach not even 24 hours after Bill Belichick is gone, they had this contract done last year in January, per the article. They enticed him to turn down other jobs. As long as they were communicating back and forth with the NFL, they didn't need to follow a Rooney Rule. I know, shady, but these are the things that people don't talk about when you get down to the below the surface and weird conversations like, oh, Bill Belichick is just so graceful as he exits the stage. Knock it off. Kraft made some ridiculous statement saying that he earned the right to walk away without compensation. What? That man is 70 years old. You mean to tell me y'all didn't give him any compensation in any form or fashion? Get out of here. All right. Tell your story walking. Now, to get around the Rooney Rule, the Patriots aren't the first person to do this. The Baltimore Ravens did it when they hired the general manager, Eric DeCosta. The Indianapolis Colts did it when they hired Jim Caldwell. And the Seattle Seahawks did it when they hired Jim Mora Jr. So they're not the first people to actually get around using the Rooney Rule. But again, don't paint this up like it was an amicable split between the organization and Bill Belichick when you already had his replacement signed, sealed, and delivered last January. Not only did you have his replacement on deck, you turned around and told this guy to turn down other coaching jobs. Don't even look, because you had to rewrite his contract to entice him to stay. and make him the heir apparent. So this wasn't organic. This wasn't that they just looked around and plucked a guy. They didn't pluck him out of anywhere. He was there. He's always been there. And we'll give you a little background on Mayo when we come back from another unofficial sponsor and a quick unofficial time break. Yes, White Castles. Try the crave case. Try the double sliders with cheese, cheese fries, chicken rings, onion rings. White Castles. Visit the good folks at your local White Castles or download the app, order online. White Castles. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up and coming down the stretch. When I say Mayo he's always been there. Mayo, he was drafted by Bill Belichick with the 10th pick in 2008. Bill said, simply put, everybody just seems to gravitate towards Mayo. Then he went on to be a team leader as a linebacker. He earned a locker room he earned the locker room respect fresh off the 2007 undefeated regular season. And that was filled with star players. So this guy was respected by Randy Moss. He was respected by Tom Brady, Edelman. You look at all of those guys, Amendola. He had everybody's respect in that locker room. Since 2008, that guy's been putting in work. He, like I said, he was the captain of the team in the second season. They didn't pluck this dude out of thin air. I don't want anybody to be mystified about that. This dude has always been in the New England Patriots organization since 2008. When he got injured towards the end of his career, Mayo grew close with Steve Belichick, Bill's son, and he studied film with him. So he built bonds not only in the locker room, but he built bonds with Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick's son, Steve. I'm sure Steve, if I did enough digging, he is on this Patriots staff as well. There's probably one of the concessions that Robert Kraft and the Kraft family made. Then that's another form of compensation Bill may have walked out the door with. In a nutshell, he's the boy, and he's been there. He's their boy, and he's been there since 2008. Even though when he retired in 2015, he was looking to leave the organization, but then he got lured back by Bill Belichick. Again, this guy had family ties with the Belichicks. Bill's son, Steve, remember, they studied film together. This guy was a former player. This guy was a former locker room captain for the Patriots. He was there through the glory years. He was there through the up and downs. He's seen it. He's seen it from all levels. Belichick lured Mayo back because he was so impressed with Mayo as a player and thought Mayo had a calling to be a football coach. And now the student is the master. Like the Godfather says, when he kissed Fredo, you broke my heart. But I don't think it's like that. I don't think Bill has any kind of animosity towards Mayo. I just know this whole situation, how it unfolded, was funky. And people kept trying to put lipstick on it and made this thing up like Bill was happy to leave. He left the Patriots in good hands. They were 3-11. And if you go back on my channel, I had videos where I knew he was on the hot seat. And I kept telling everybody the guy who's less likely to be fired out of those guys was Mike Tomlin. That dude is a magician. You give him anything in Pittsburgh, he can make it work. He's a hell of a coach. But yeah. Now, the title of this video is Mayo the right guy for the Patriots? I just don't know. I don't know. If he's the offensive coordinator for the last couple of years for the Patriots, no. Is he going to move in a different direction? He's got to. And with a bunch of different running backs that's on the free market that can get them back into being respectable in the AFC East, they're not going to beat Miami. They're not going to beat Buffalo. They've got a while to do that. I think when it comes to Mayo, they've given him about 5 years. But he can't have a 3-11 season. He can't have those seasons. He can't have 4-12 or something like that, 4-13. He can't do that. He's going to have to go ahead and get a lot better. At least he's going to have to get at least 7 wins. 7 or 8 wins in this year makes him respectable. And the second year, if he gets to 10 wins, then he's guaranteed to live out the full 5 years of his contract. I could be wrong, but let me know what you all think. It's been fun this evening, but as always, like, share, and subscribe. It's Big Vern, and I'm out.